Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my Espoo Eagles Nations United Team Finland. There's too many different titles to this series. Nations United with Finland is what we're going with. In the last episode, we went through an offseason following a loss in the Stanley Cup Final to the Anaheim Ducks, and it was not without controversy. Two main issues popped up. First and foremost, a lot of people were upset that I did not draft the guy in the 7th round, Voutilainen, who was a 300-plus projected pick, but was listed as a gem. A lot of you thought, man, he was going to be good. What are you doing? And I mentioned that anytime I would potentially select someone in the 300s, that they would always be terrible. Case in point, Voutilainen is not good. 20 years old, 60 overall, medium, bottom 6. I know I just could have taken him. 7th round pick, no problem. If he ends up being good, cool. I have yet to see someone who's ranked in the 300s with an actually good potential be decent, even if it says confirmed low elite. They always end up being worse, so that's why I avoided him. Am I justified in this example? Sure. There may be other examples where that's not exactly the case. The other big issue was, of course, the salary cap issues that we had when we tried to re-sign one Kaapo Kakko. Now, a lot of you guys are saying, oh, it's because you had so few players under contract. My counter argument to that is in prior Draft to Glory series where we've had to fill out the roster, we haven't run into that issue. So it's a tough one because in most of those Draft to Glory series, we might have had a little bit more money to spend than we did in this past offseason before we ended up moving on from Line A and Teuvo Teravainen to make space. At the end of the day, though, it is what it is, and the rosters still come out on the other side of it looking pretty damn good. Even if, of course, we did end up losing someone like Patrick Laine, which, it might have been for the best anyway. Even if with the early on loyalty spins, he was one of the guys that we were not meant to flip. But at this point, it is what it is. So you could consider the initial challenge of this series, we failed it because I did move on from someone that I wasn't supposed to. But at the end of the day, the goal is still to have success with the nation's team, which hasn't always been the case. But with this team, I would hope we're going to be able to find success. We have the best defense that we pretty much could possibly have outside of Peltonen, but of course, he's a younger prospect, a low elite at 21 years old. The top 6, Louis and Ludman, with what they did in the playoffs, were absolutely ridiculous, so I have faith in them. You look at the third line, bringing back Kasper Bjorkqvist. Will he be able to have the same success alongside Borgstrom? And now Arturi Lehkonen brought back. He has a little bit more of an opportunity as well. And a lot of people were asking, too, why I was releasing so many AHL guys if I was only going to bring them back. It's because I'm waiting to see what other AIGMs are going to do with other Finnish players that we don't currently have. Of course, I don't really expect there to be any gems, that we missed out of the draft, because for the most part, we know what Finns are actually going to be good, but it's mainly to take a look at what players we might not already have and to see if they hit the open market, and if they did, then cool, we bring them in, whether or not they're prospects or, actually good players currently. Again, unfortunately, I can't sort by, just Finns alone, which is frustrating, so I can't just be like, oh, see, I'm waiting to see if... I guess you could use someone like Puljujärvi as an example to see if he hits free agency. You get the point, though. For the most part, everything I've done in this series has been with purpose. And again, whether or not the issue of the last episode was due to the contracts and how few we had, the money available, personally, with prior experiences with the game, I don't think that was the reason why. It very well may have been. Regardless, it is time to get this new season underway. I am excited to see what this team can do. The pressure, the stakes are so high when it comes to this squad, and the goal is clear: make it back to the Stanley Cup Final, and anything shy of that will be viewed as an absolutely horrific disappointment because we should be good enough to make it back. There's really no question about that. Again, yeah, we do lose someone like Patrick Laine, but having him probably, he probably still would have been in the top 6. Teuvo, it might have ended up being like Louis, Teuvo, and Bjorkqvist on the third line, which would have been a ridiculous third line, although we wouldn't have gotten the most out of them. Regardless, regardless. Pressure's on. We need to win. And we end up losing to Anaheim in the Stanley Cup final rematch 3-1. Just to twist the knife and rub salt into the wounds, but we are 8-2 through our first 10 games. I want to take a look here. Leading scorer is Henrik Borgstrom on the third line. Not who I would have picked. Let's take a look here. Kaapo Kakko, 9 points. 8 points for Simon Teval. 8 points, 5 goals for Rantanen. Not bad. 5 points for Louis. 7 points for Lambert. 7 points for Ludman. Only 1 goal, though, for, I believe, the only sniper on that line, so that's a bit disappointing thus far. 8 points for Bjorkqvist, 10 for Borgstrom, and 6 for Lehkonen. On the fourth line, Koivula, Pirnes, and Lemico combined for just 3 points, but at the very least, the plus-minus isn't that bad. So the top 9 right now getting the job done. Defensively, Olli Juolevi, 4 points, -2 on the season, but he and Hikola, big-time minute eaters, 4 points each. Of course, I'm not expecting to see big point totals out of this defense, and it would help, the top 9 to get a little bit more of that time. And Luukkonen's not quite on a record pace, but that's still pretty damn good. Ville Husso yet to see an appearance despite auto-rotate goalies being on, so figure that one out. But as it stands right now, we are tied with Buffalo and the Dallas Stars for the most points in the league. We'll see if that continues over the next month. And again, hopefully there's not too much controversy here because, let's be honest, there's not really a whole hell of a lot we can do in terms of acquiring players and shuffling up the team. We pretty much have the best team we can afford to build if you want to factor in, someone again like Patrick Laine or Teuvo Teravainen not being on a third line. It would have been very tough to keep this team together in the shape that it is due to the cap. I mean, obviously, it would be nice to essentially build the Finnish national team, but, we were going to have to exclude a couple of top-notch players, and Laine and Teuvo, of course, were the most recent victims. That said, 16-4 through 20 games. We have a week and a half here remaining in November. The Helsinki Hawks also doing very well, which isn't surprising. That team is just stacked for an AHL club, with the majority of that team being guys who probably should be on an NHL fourth line at the very least. I mean, hell, Erik Haula is on that team. We are at 19-5-0 as of December 1st. Is that the best record in the NHL? 38 points. Let's take a look over in the Atlantic. Buffalo really dropped off. We are up there with Dallas, who did not drop off. So we are the top team in the Eastern Conference. Kaapo Kakko, 26 points in 24 games. Looking pretty damn good. We'll see how the rest of that line's doing. Point-a-game pace for Simon Teval. Just under a point-a-game pace for Mikko Rantanen. Second line, Louis, 11-11. I like it. Brad Lambert, 9 goals, 12 assists, and Ludman getting the goal scoring up there. Damn, again, Ludman's only 19. Monster. 11 points for Bjorkqvist. Glad to see he's working well with the new third line. Borgstrom. 13 points, and Lehkonen with 8 in that fourth line. 4 points for Koivula. 6 assists for Pirnes, who again was a first-round pick of the Leafs. And Lemico, 4 points as well. Looking good. Defensively, Olli Juolevi. 7 points isn't bad. We know he's not a major point getter. 31 points is pretty good, right? A career high of 32. He's a little bit below that pace right now, but considering he only put up 13 points last year, I'll be okay with it. 7 points as well for Hikola, 6 for Teravainen, 7 for Risto, 10 for Markus Nutivaara, and 2 goals for Tuomo Peltonen. So, as expected, that defense not putting up major points. Luukkonen, though, looking pretty damn good. And Ville Husso. What has gotten into Ville Husso over the past year or so? Really, it started with the playoffs. He had 2 appearances, only let up 1 goal on 60 shots, and he's continuing that outrageous form now, although he has technically lost a game, which is very, very surprising to me. And just a quick look down in the AHL as well. Again, with guys like Haula, we don't really have prospects, of course, but that's okay, because we knew we were going for it. Our prospects are on the roster. They're named Louis and Ludman, because they were the only 2 guys to have. Although, I do want to take a look at the draft class to see if there's anybody worth keeping an eye on this year. maybe someone moved up in the rankings, and that is not looking likely. Oh, God. All right, Samu Janila, 17 years old, probably, I mean, it says two-way, but man, at that size, he's going to be more of a shutdown guy, for sure. So that screams medium top 4 to me, much like the guy that was in the draft last year. High 7th in Tuomainen, even though we, of course, don't have him all the way scouted. There's a North Korean in the first round, Jeff Sarno. Damn. North Korea United, coming soon to a channel near you. No, but had we done a traditional Nations United, obviously guys like Sarno, Maltby, Fairchild, Lebedev, they would have been available to us. It's not looking good for Finns right now. Granted, we are still just 2 months into the season, but it's looking bad. It's looking like another very weak draft for us. And if we take a look here at, again, just the organization as a whole, I mean, these draft picks that we have, there's pretty much no point in keeping them. We have the extra second from Detroit, 2 extra third-round picks. Those are pretty much going to have to be dealt either alongside players for prospects that we don't have or for picks next year, which, in terms of prospects that we don't have, I'm not really sure who would even be available. And at this point, it might not be worth looking until we get to, say, next year's draft. Although, the longer we wait, the less value that first-round pick's going to have. I've been saying although a lot. That's okay. We'll let it go. We'll let it go. Moving on with the sim, let's get to the new year. 2026 is coming to a close, and hopefully we can keep up this ridiculous pace that we're currently on. Yet to lose in overtime or in a shootout. Oh, I knew that was going to, of course that was going to happen. Of course it was. We lose to New Jersey in a shootout. We bounce back, though, with a 5-1 win over Boston. Back-to-back against Carolina and Vegas. We lose both of those games. And suddenly, the record isn't looking as pristine. We beat Los Angeles 5-0. Tampa, not exactly lighting the world on fire, but they do light us up for 6 goals. And the team's starting to play just a little bit more inconsistently, I would say. We do have a losing record so far this month, and it was just made worse. Losing to Buffalo 4-3, bounce back. So, man, it's either it's a close loss or we're just lighting teams up, apparently. Case in point, close loss to Washington. We light up Detroit 5-2. We light up Ottawa 5-0, and end up beating Dallas in a shootout 5-4. And the final game of the calendar year 2026 comes to a close. We have a 26-10-1 record as of January 1st. We must be hosting the Winter Classic against Edmonton, right? Yeah, because, boy, don't I still wish the Winter Classic was in franchise. Or was in franchise ever. 53 points on the year. That is good for the second best point total in the NHL. The Dallas Stars right now are still absolutely killing it. And, you know, I think we're good. Capo Caco's still leading the way, over a point a game. Let's move on. Let's get closer to February. I mean, we'll be going through the entire season at this point. Of course, injuries are off in this series, so you know that we're going to just pretty much be breezing straight through. It's the only question. The only question that's really there is whether or not we'll be making a trade, and I still just can't imagine it unless we decide to move on from those draft picks. But in case there's a late bloomer, they're worth holding on to for now. But like I said, in terms of finding Finnish, prospects that are out there that we could potentially trade for, you can't, player search by nationality, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. You have to go off of trade value more than anything. 31st win of the year comes against San Jose, 3-0, 5-0 win over the Leafs. How many 5-0 results have we had already this season? It's crazy. The Hawks also still killing it down in the AHL. I do want to look at the draft class. Is there anybody who's magically gone up the board? Please? Oh, God. Oh, God. So, Marko Laaksonen, he's right on the border of potentially being worth it. We need more info on him, and hopefully that scout ranking goes up. You have Petri Koivisto. I would say that the picks are worth holding on to for the moment. There are at least some players there. Whether or not any of them are good enough to take, will they be worth it, or would the picks be better suited to be dealt? Time will tell. As we, Jesus, lose 4-0 to St. Louis and then take it out on Winnipeg 8-0. Then we beat Philadelphia 4-1 and the Coyotes 2-1. Last game of the month there. As we move on to February, we'll be starting off against the Islanders 35-14-1. Are we back on top of the NHL? 71 points. Kako still leading the way. 71 points is the highest point total in the league. We've managed to pass Dallas, who look to be the kings of the West already. So let's take a look, shall we, at everybody else. Simon Tyval, not bad. 44 points in 50 games. His pace has fallen off a little bit, but not too bad. Mikko Rantanen's already hit 20 goals. He has 44 points on the year. As long as he hits 30 goals, I think I'm okay with the amount that we're paying him, which is absolutely absurd. Samuel Louis, Jesus! He is outscoring Mikko Rantanen. Say what you want about getting rid of Laine, but I think that was the right move. I mean, hell, it might have been Kako who ended up leaving, but, you know, could have been Laine there, Louis here. Regardless, he would have been in the top 6. He is killing it. 47 points, 21 goals. Lambert, 19 goals, 28 assists. And Ludman, somehow the best shooting category on that line, has the fewest amount of goals, but that second line's great. Bjorkqvist, 23 points, 8 goals, 18 assists for Borgstrom. I don't know why I can't say Bjorkstrom. I think it's because it's Bjorkqvist and Borgstrom. It's just weird. And Lehkonen up to 24 points. Not bad. Fourth line, Koivulo, 20 points. Mika Piernez, 19 points. And Lamiko up to 14. I have no complaints with anybody on this team so far. Olli Juolevi, 14 points, 40 penalty minutes, a plus 12. 14 points for Hikala. Tiervainen was 7. 18 points for Risto. No, not 18 points. That'd be 16. Math is my specialty. And Nudivara was 17. 4 points for Peltonen, but a plus 20. Look at the plus minus, man. I mean, again, plus minus is not typically a great stat to go off of, but man, the second and third pairings are killing it. And yeah, good old Luukkonen. Absolute beast. Ville Husso, absolute beast. Right now, we are just cruising towards the postseason. Let's sim up to deadline day. We'll take another look at who we have on this team, but again, I don't think, actually, here, we'll just go straight to deadline day, which is on March 1st. I can't imagine we'll be shuffling any players, sending anybody off of this team. I think the guys that we have now are perfect for the role, and at the very least, we do have, say if we want to change up something on the fourth line, we do have guys like Erik Haula, who could be called up if necessary. And with those draft picks, I think until we know for sure just how good those prospects are, those picks are worth keeping. So I think it's just smooth sailing to the playoffs here, and there's really not going to be a whole lot of controversy for once. No need to make changes at the deadline, shuffle the lines. Just, nope, we're good. We're cruising along and making the most of it, although we have lost 4 out of our last 5 games. Make that 5 out of our last 6. If we're going to go on a downward spiral here, I guess February is the better time to do it. We lose again to Tampa. We lose again. Okay, all right, I see, EA. I see. I started talking on a positive note, and now we're losing every single game. Good Lord. Can we beat Buffalo at least is my question. There's no way Dallas hasn't passed us as the top team because we barely get those pity points for losing in an overtime or shootout. And we lost again. Wow. So we start off with 4 straight wins, and from there, it just fell apart. That is absolutely insane. We win 4 out of 5 to start the month. Actually, that's incorrect. We won 5 out of 6 to start the month, and then we go on to lose 7 straight games. All right, maybe we do have some things to contemplate and consider here on deadline day. We have 82 points, which is still the top in the East. Dallas on 88 points. So it's still looking okay, but 2-7-1 in our last 10 is absolutely horrific compared to where you think we would be and where we were just a month ago. So Kakko's still leading the team, 21 goals, 45 assists. You have 51 points there for Simon Tyval, 24 goals, 31 assists for Rantanen. Again, who's being outscored by Samuel Louis. That's outrageous. That second line is so good, and Ludman has gone up to a top line forward. So yeah, that top 6 is something else. I think maybe the one issue right now is we get a lot of guys who are taking a lot of penalties. But even then, like the fourth line, I'm not upset with their production numbers. I think we just have to, bite the bullet here, wait it out, get to the playoffs, and see what happens. Regular season struggles, I'm not too concerned. I mean, Luukkonen still at a .937 save percentage. And like I said, I mean, who else are we possibly going to get? We don't have any top-notch prospects to trade. This team is our team. We have $3 million in cap space. It's not like we're going to move any of our top value players. That's just not going to happen. We don't have the assets to go out there and get anybody great. So we will stand pat, and we will sim through the rest of the season. And again, hopefully some of those guys in the upcoming draft end up being half decent, because otherwise, I mean, trading away our picks to next year, the picks aren't going to have that much value because we're still going to be a top team in the league. I am intrigued, though, to see what other teams did as we snap that losing streak 7-0 over Pittsburgh. They are not a very good team. So at the very least, we beat a team that we should. And now Kapokako up to 69 points. Very, very nice. Let's take a look here. And of course, I expect to see a lot of generated names like Svedberg and Sidhu, but Zaka's on the move. Mikael Granlund dealt to San Jose. Nick Hague to Chicago. And that's it. Very few trades on deadline day. That would have made for a very disappointing Twitch live stream. That would have been brutal. So let's see what we can do here over the next 4 weeks. As we sim up to April 1st, I would like to think we're going to hit the 50-win mark. We start off with 3 straight wins, so bouncing back to form, make it 4 in a row. Can we make it 5 against Dallas, the battle for the President's Trophy? And we can. So we lose 7 straight, only to win 5 out of our first 6 games. A win against Florida, but Anaheim still proving to be our Achilles heel, apparently. I don't know what it is about them, but they're just, they're eagle killers. Terrible, terrible eagle killers. Minnesota falls 5-4. We play Chicago and Nashville, a lot more back-to-backs this month. We split those games as well. Looking for win number 50. So we lose to the Rangers. Can we beat the Sharks? No, we cannot. California is not treating us well. Can we beat the Leafs? Oh boy. We do beat St. Louis 6-3 for our 49th win of the season, which again, to me, is a massive disappointment because we should have been able to hit 50 throughout that month. Consistency issues right now. We've lost 4 out of our last 5 games. There was a 4-game losing streak before we beat St. Louis there. I'm concerned, and I shouldn't be that concerned about a 53-win team. I mean, we have 4 games left to go. We're going to be the top team in the East. There's no doubt about that. We need 1 more win. Granted, the Islanders have a game at hand, as do New Jersey, but we're going to be the top team in the East. I don't think we'll be able to catch Dallas as the top team in the NHL. They've already clinched the West, so that's decided. But we know we're going to have home ice advantage up to the Cup final if we make it thus, that far. But what version of this team is going to show up in the playoffs? I don't know, as we lose 6-1 to Winnipeg. Still looking for that 50th win. We have clinched the top record in the Eastern Conference. Can we beat Philadelphia to snap this losing streak? We can. So that is finally, mercifully, win number 50 on the season. So we'll end the year here against Arizona. Our last road game, we lose 3-2, and the last home game of the year is against the 45-win Calgary Flames. And we do, in fact, win. But still, not exactly the most motivating finish to this season. We were doing great up to February, then we collapse. We jump into March, it starts off strong, and then finishes pretty terribly, and then hit or miss. I mean, a 3-2 record in our final 5 games of the year. I should have a little bit more, maybe it's just, I don't know. Again, the pressure of having to win the Cup this year. Like, we have to get back there. We won 51 games. This roster's ridiculous. But we've had those bad stretches this season where it's like, okay, what are we going to do in the playoffs here? Are we just going to choke? What's going to happen? The Helsinki Hawks finished with 57 wins, though, so there might be a Calder Cup coming home. Some teams still have games to play, so we'll go ahead and sim those before we take a look at the regular season stats. And there we go. So everyone is on 82 games. Let's take a look at the teams first before we get into individual players. Again, we know that we won the Eastern Conference. We had the second best record in the NHL. Not too shabby. Goals for per game. My God. Dallas at a 3-7-1. I did not expect there to be that much separation between us and them. We were only at a 3-16. So, I mean, goal scoring's up based on the settings that we put on, but still, I'm surprised that their offense was that much better than ours. They were one of 2 teams to score over 300 goals this year. Goals against, we had the fewest, which is a very good thing. So, I mean, Dallas, them not being in the bottom 8 here kind of shows you just how crucial their offense is to the game. But we gave up 8 less goals than the second place San Jose Sharks. So clearly defense and goaltending, which you would think would be our specialty, was proven to be. Our power play's at 23.4%, which is the 7th best in the league. Our penalty kill at 80.8%, which is higher up, but not towards the elite numbers in the league. So special teams were okay, but perhaps not as good as you would have thought they would have been with the talent that we have there. So it's interesting that we're not, and I think there's a direct correlation there between our power play being slightly ineffective, or at least a little bit more ineffective than you would have thought. I was hoping for a top 5 power play. We were just a little bit off. But with the top 6 that we have, to say that we should have had at least a top 3 isn't exactly an unreasonable request. Overall, I mean, we only had one player top out over a point a game, and that was Capo Caco. 89 points in 82 games, 27 goals. If I'm not mistaken, that's his highest career numbers, and it absolutely is. He had a phenomenal season off the back of that new contract. 29 points on the power play. Brad Lambert was second in points on this team. 74 points, 33 goals. I'm pretty sure both are career highs. They absolutely are. A great great bounce-back season, easy for me to say, for him this time out. And third, we had Mikko Rantanen, who did hit the 30-goal mark. 32 goals, 73 points in total. But, I mean, he hit 83 points last year. It's his first time under 80 points in the past 4 years. So slightly off the pace, even though the same amount of power play points were there. His shooting percentage, though, I mean, he took more shots. I mean, more shots over this season at any time over the past 3 seasons. Obviously, he had one more shot in 2023, 2024. Just the shooting percentage was down, which could be a good sign, right? Because if he gets that shooting percentage going in the playoffs, he's going to be an absolute monster. Speaking of absolute monsters, Tommy Ludman. 71 points, and yes, I have noticed 5 of our forwards have finished with at least 70 points. 24 goals for the now 20-year-old sensation. He had 29 goals in his rookie year last year on the third line. Of course, in the playoffs, he turned it on, 20 points in 22 games. We reward him with top 6 time. I mean, he's just a monster. Love him already. And then Casper Simon-Tyval also hit 70 points, 17 goals, which is not a career high. He hit 23 last year, but the point totals were down just a little bit. And then just outside, the last member of the top 6, Samu Louis, 27 goals, 67 points. I mean, he was a monster last year. Once we gave him the opportunity to play in the playoffs, he was pretty damn good, and we give him a chance to shine here, and he absolutely does. So very happy with the top 6. And from there, I mean, the third line, ideally they'd all hit 30 points, and they all did. Borgstrom with 36 points, Bjorkqvist with 33, and 32 for Arturi Lehkonen. So again, we were playing him on the 4th line last year. We bumped him up, and I mean, hell, on the 4th line, he still hit 20 points, which is what you would hope for. Bump him up to the 3rd line, his production's still right where you'd want it. So very happy with that. On the 4th line, Mika Pirnez with 27 points, which is great. 22 for Lamiko and 24 Koivula. So basically everybody hit the point totals that you would like them to hit. The 4th liners all hit 20, the 3rd liners all hit 30, and the top 6 was all within 67 points or more. I really can't complain. So it makes me wonder where the consistency issues in terms of losing games really came from. We get to the defense, and again, no big point getters, but it explains, of course, why the offense, why the forwards at least all had the numbers that they did. But Nunivara and Olli Levy with 23 points each. Evaristo hitting 20, 19 for Hikola, 16 for Tiervainen, only 8 for Peltonen. They are definitely racking up the majority of the penalty minutes, I feel. Maybe not. 65 for Borgstrom. Obviously, with the settings that we have on right now, it's to drive up the amount of penalty minutes, so the power plays get more of an opportunity and you get more goals, which, again, I can show you the settings that we currently have on. But Luukkonen, 45, 23, and 1, 10 shutouts, a 935. Ville Husso kind of fell apart. Maybe that has to do with it. Maybe Luukkonen struggles. Could Ville Husso pick up the weight? And the answer is apparently no. So I still got faith in you, though, Ville, because injuries are off. Around the league, Connor McDavid, 111 points, led the way. We fixed McDavid, guys. We did it. 57 goals for him. Tyler Seguin, still an absolute monster. And Jordan Eberle in New Jersey also hits 100. Salvador Persaud in Los Angeles. Jack Hughes, Nikita Kucherov, Jesse Puljujarvi, Mark Stone, and David Pastrnak, the top goal scorers. You also have guys like Anton Lundell, Taylor Hall, Pettersson, Besser, and Matt Tkachuk. And obviously Los Angeles being led by a couple of computer-generated guys. The top goal scorers, Jack Hughes with 62, McDavid, Gusev, Seguin, and Julius Graham in Winnipeg. We had a couple of guys get very close to 50 as well. Top assist man was Puljujarvi, playing alongside McDavid. Timo Meier was 74, loving life, playing next to Jack Hughes. And, of course, top power play points, 38 for McDavid, which is not surprising in the least. I do wonder, Noah Goodler, the top hits, and for fights, 26, Christian Lundqvist. Fighting round the world, apparently. Fighting anybody who will take him on. Defensively, Victor Hedman still at 36 years old, leading the way with 66 points. Bernard Docker with 60, McAvoy with 60, OEL and Sergachev round out the top 5. Top goal scorer was Scott Perunovich of the St. Louis Blues, who is a real player, NCAA guy right now. Nikita Vasyunov, Kirill Nestorov, and Dante Fabro all hit 21. Not bad. Top goaltenders. In terms of wins, you had Luukkonen with 45. Of course, he had 70 appearances. In terms of save percentage, it's probably going to be Luukkonen. Unless it gives it to Michael DiPietro, I think we have a Vezina winner in Luukkonen. The only way you could really give it to DiPietro is to say he played 4 less games, but even then, I mean, actually, that would hurt him more than anything. Yeah, Luukkonen just won another Vezina, which is exactly why we picked him up. Huska is not available. Jukka Laakso. Will we regret letting go of Jukka Laakso? Time will tell. We traded him once we acquired Luukkonen, but Jukka Laakso has turned in to a top-notch goaltender. If we run into the Florida Panthers, I'm going to be shitting bricks because I guarantee he is going to shut us down. Last year was his rookie year. He was pretty bad, but this year he took a big step up. That's pretty scary. But of course, the rest of the team was ready now. I think I'd rather have Luukkonen than Laakso, but time will tell. I mean, we did get to a cup final with Luukkonen, only for us to fall short. The Bruins are going to have the Calder winner with Dallas Barrie, 74 points. My God. Number 4 overall pick in 2025, but he's already a 90. Absolute monster. Then you have Dave Brown and Korolyuk up there, rounding out the top 3. So overall, feeling pretty good still about our chances, but I'm a little bit worried. The good thing is, hopefully, no, we're playing the Florida Panthers in the first round. Oh, no. No. So remember what I said 30 seconds ago about shitting bricks? Yeah, we're shitting bricks. It is the goaltender that we gave up to have Luukkonen be the guy for the Eagles. And here we are, getting ready to play the Panthers in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Again, this is what we've had on. I know a lot of people don't like the fact I turned off icing or offsides, but that was a suggestion from X-Tech, which absolutely works. And again, in terms of my opinions of how you can alter the sim, anything goes, fighting up to 2, icing and offsides off, this penalty meter jacked all the way up. And again, this is what we have right now as far as the setup is concerned. And again, the only thing in terms of gameplay sliders is this general tab. That's the only one that will do anything in terms of the sim. If you jump in, obviously the rest of these sliders will do something, but you can max up the shooting to 100 and drop every goaltending stat down to 0. It won't do anything. It's just the general tab and that rules tab. Obviously, really the only thing to change here would be attribute effects. But as a result, we are seeing some higher scoring. Oh my God. Of course, we have to play the Florida Panthers. And I'm pretty sure Loxo, I mean, he's the reason we have Hikala, if I'm not mistaken. Eagles and Panthers in the first round of the playoffs. We are back. Over in the West, it's Los Angeles, Edmonton, San Jose, Vegas, Dallas, Calgary, Winnipeg, and St. Louis. In the East, Buffalo and Philadelphia, Boston, Tampa, the Islanders and Devils. And we play the Florida Panthers. And even if we make it past this matchup, we'll have to play the winner of the Islanders and Devils. And we know the Devils have some top-notch goal scorers. I said this year the goal was to make it back to the Stanley Cup Final. It looks like we're going to have an even more difficult road to get there than last year. Which, oh, God. So we are done here for today. I need time to mentally prepare, but I thank you guys for watching and supporting this series. I do not deserve you. Check out everything in the description if you haven't already. And of course, make sure to leave a like on the video or I will threaten you with physical violence. And damn it, we'll cause our own YouTube drama and gain fucking millions of subscribers because YouTube drama is all the rage. Unless you're pro Jared, in which case you don't think YouTube drama is all the rage. I have been watching too much of, I'm not even going to blame Philip DeFranco for this, but he does cover it, and I don't blame him. Thank you, guys. I'll catch you next time. And pray for me, because Loxo is going to shut us down.